from the get-go, like seeing people that volunteer their time to coach my, um, the teams I was on, like my buddy's dad, who was a staple of like all of our teams from when I was in fourth grade on. So it was a lot of people serving others with tremendous amounts of time. And a lot of those people were also just really good people, God-fearing people, and they were the type of people that you would like to emulate. And and I think the beauty of that is a lot of my experiences and work experiences, I was able to find other individuals that were like that were selfless, and had Christ infused in their work. I think of Pat McBride, who was the director of New Student Enrollment for years and years and years, and he just was just a good example of a good man. And he always had shared that they had a single income household, and he goes, Vic, we never had the newest cars. He'd always ride his bike to work. That phrase, when he said, we never had the newest cars, it was a lot more profound than what he probably realized. It was a choice that they made, so his wife could choose to stay home and be with the kids. They had a lot of kids. But they knew it was a sacrifice, because they knew they're not going to be able to have multiple vehicles. He'll ride to work, and he just always, so he was an example in that sense of the trade-off of, if you're going to work in somewhere where you have a passion, you're going to need a balance between working 80 hours a week, or do you want to have 40 hours and spend time with your family, or do you not want to work and then maybe live on one income versus two? If you are, some families working on two and then working two part-time jobs because that's necessary, and there's probably a season for all of that. And so I think it's hard sometimes when people think about serving, that it has to be one extreme or the other. That it has to be, okay, I'm going to volunteer and I'm going to be here 2 hours a week for the next 150 weeks. No, start with 1 week and see if it works, or if it's financially, just because some person had donated a 6-figure gift, that scares away others from giving them what's meaningful to them. No, it's amazing how every little gift counts. And with my time at the university, that was enlightening, because I would travel across the United States and visit donors, and there would be some that were the obvious visitors, people that have given a significant gift, but there were the majority of the people that we would love to steward were the ones that weren't giving tremendous gifts, not even $1,000 or more, but what they were doing was giving maybe $20 or $50, and it was over 20, 30 years. And to me, that was a little bit illuminating, because going into that role, you almost think that everybody's going to be a major gift donor, and or that everybody's even aware of the fact that the university, or name any other entity that they care for, needs support. Like, think through all the messages we receive in a day, whether it be email, social media, our phone just is a distraction in and of itself, that there are things that tug on our heart that we know we care about, yet at the end of the day, we can get distracted to the point where we don't do what we were hoping to do for that cause, and that one distracted day turns into a distracted week, month, year, and then it falls off our to-do list, or possibly a whole nother cause comes to play, because life may throw a curveball, and then all of a sudden a cause close to your family's heart pushes to the forefront. The most meaningful gifts that I've seen come through were oftentimes the gifts from the millionaires next door, the people that gave $10 a year for 30 years, and then they left an estate gift that just was significant, like department changing, ridiculously significant. And so, yeah, it was humbling because it just like, I don't know, you want to treat everybody as Jesus would, and it's, and you can never judge a book by a cover because, how many people have their own personal roadmap planned out, and if everybody knew that, the mortgage would get taken care of, they'll be able to become debt free one day, the kids would have an inheritance, how much of inheritance would they want? Well, what causes would they love to leave a gift to? And so it's a two-way street. I think both families need to take care of that planning, and then take action on that planning, but then find the organizations that ask the most will be the ones that receive the benefits of those philanthropic people. One of the toughest things for some folks is that they think that their history of philanthropic activity determines what they can do now. And there's a season for everybody, whether it's tough times, if things are going really good right now, praise God, because life's going to throw a curveball. If things are going bad right now, praise God, they're only going to get better. And so, so many people are getting asked in so many different directions, but just because you haven't given somewhere before doesn't mean anything. Everybody can start today, and it's ridiculous how meaningful $5 a month could be to a nonprofit, to faith, to the church, and so and then it's also kind of silly at the end of the week if we looked at, how many pumpkin spice lattes did we have, and where did that go? And so it's a little bit of intention, but there's also the balance. You can live the things that you enjoy the most, and as long as you make room for the things that you feel in your heart you want to give to also. And so just because somebody's been an absent donor today or an absent volunteer up to today, it does not mean that has to continue in the future. And I think sometimes it's just making it easy for folks to change, say, give them an opportunity and show them how simple it is. Arts, there's so much going on already that maybe we assume everybody reads every line of the newsletter. And we know that's not the case. Do we know everybody knows every single way that people can give? We think and we assume, but it's so there's mutual accountability. I think that comes from that. I'm blessed with the gift of gab. My dad used to always say, I wish I was born rich instead of so dang good looking. I can relate. Just kidding, sorry. And it really is helping engage those that are in alignment with the mission. So yeah, we talk about time, talent, and treasure. When I had all the time in the world, I had no clue what was meaningful in my life. God has really worked to get me in alignment with what He put me on earth to do. I'm blessed right now to be in a position to use what I've learned over the years, both in the nonprofit sector and then in the business side, to engage with faith and help however I can to move things forward, and I'm excited for that. Because I think the reason why we're at church is to get a better relationship with Jesus and to live more in alignment with Him. And I think now more than ever, everything is trying to get politicized. Everything is almost idolicized, and nobody's taking a breath to ask themselves, okay, Jesus, help me with understanding this person's perspective. Where there's no pause to think that, and so we're a part of this congregation, we're a part of this group, we're a part of this church, moving in the same direction. And that in and of itself is a big deal, especially in this day and age. And so we need folks that have time. There are talents that we're still needing. Obviously, the church and the school can't staff everything that is needed. And then it all comes down to treasure. Like, we can't wish for the crumber to go away, right? We can't wish for those things to happen. So, and if that calling is placed upon you to create that time, or utilize your talent, or spare some of your earnings, all is going to be welcome, and all is going to be necessary. And talking about it, I think, is going to be just as important, because we can't assume that people are getting the message, whether they're watching it online, getting distracted, watching it on replay, or maybe they are in church and life is going on in their lives and there's distractions that are happening. So us talking about what we're doing to try to move faith forward, or move the causes that we care about forward, is necessary, because it's our fellow man, it's our friends that are creating the time. Maybe I can create the time. Yeah, I give on a monthly basis automatically because I don't know where my checkbook is. I need that because being different in this day and age, asking people how they are, but meaningfully asking again, no, really, how are you? Like, we're coming off one of the craziest 18 months that most of us have ever experienced, and many people are still in the thick of it. And so it's assuming that everything is okay and putting on that happy face is, great if you're truly happy, but like, serving others is where we need to be. So asking and sharing what we're doing and what we're going through is just a meaningful way to share the opportunity that exists to be a part of faith in an additional way. Nobody's going to be perfect in that process. And I think the same thing exists in anything else we're going to try to change. That, number one, there has to be intention. And number two, don't expect to be perfect, because we are not Jesus. And so whatever it is that you want to change, whether it's the time involvement, if it's the financial involvement, if it is, if it doesn't have to do with faith, but it's another area of your life, it has to be almost attached to a goal, and have an intentionality to it that you'll create the time, or you'll create the budget, or you'll adjust where your time had been allocated for. So I think that's the big thing, is that everybody can start today. Everybody can change what they have done. Yeah, my mom moved to the United States and didn't know a lick of English, but knew that we needed to know English to be able to go to school and all that stuff. And I think it's interesting now, like, she's a teammate mentor. She goes to the school almost every day. Like, kids that the kids were born after I graduated high school, like, know my mom. And she's still making, blankets and prayer shawls for people in the community. Whenever something's going on, like, they know they can call my mom to make food for an event or to donate something. And so I think it's interesting that, it to some, maybe creating a blanket or a quilt or donating something for a raffle may seem insignificant, but my goodness, that, like, those become some of the most cherished things that some of those people donate and buy and receive, and it is coming from, God bless us with these talents, and it's not for us to keep. It's not for us to keep. It's time to share that the opportunities exist, and we're welcoming everyone to just say, I'm willing to help. How can I help? And obviously, there's going to be plenty to be shared.